Without a producer, I found myself in a bit of a jam on the last video that I did talking about my family. Let me tell you that the story that I had and the story that was truth both had elements of that thing called truth. Let me go back to something that is taught in early English classes about sentences. The sentence that I'm going to tell you can have more than one meaning. For example, what is that in the road ahead? But said a little differently, the same words. What is that in the road ahead? Have two very different meanings coming from the same sentence. Now, my question, of course, was, whatever happened to Maxine? Somewhere along the line, my mind changed Pauline to Maxine. And strange as this may sound, when I would question this to my parents, to my brothers, my sisters, I always said Maxine, but nobody ever corrected me. I thought that very strange now that I'm older and I see the tremendous work done by people on the Dammit page on Facebook. My first reaction, of course, was to grab things like the sofa and throw it out the front window, because I don't have a producer like Peppy to straighten all this out for me. I had to do it on my own. And I thought, how do I get out of this mess? I show up with all my relatives that I don't know and immediately tell them something that's not true. But was it not true? These are things I pondered for a couple days. Finally, I made contact with my sister, Helen, the last of the family besides me, my older sister. Strange though, Helen always told me she was 39. And again, I'm not too sharp in family matters, thanks to the Catholic Church, which don't really teach any of this kind of thing. We should have been Mormon, they do. And I had a conversation with Helen. It lasted about 45 minutes till we both got so tired. And I realized maybe I don't have to throw the couch off the window, rip off my clothes, and go stand on the roof of the house throwing tiles down at cars, which I normally do when I'm angry. Here's the thing. I can tell it with a couple stories, maybe. The question, whatever happened to Pauline, let's use the correct name now, it makes things easier, really applied. But the meaning that my dad had when he asked the question was far different than the meaning that I was perceiving. Whatever happened to Pauline, to me, meant that she had vanished and nobody knew anything about her. But to my dad, it meant he knew about her, and it really wasn't something that we shared with the younger boy in the family. So I never really was. This is another mistake. I hate to say mistakes made by my family, but since I was born so late and raised as an only child, my parents had pretty well mastered parenting when I was born. I'm told my parents argued often, but you know what? They never argued in front of me. They had learned that if they're going to yell and scream and throw things at each other, maybe they should go away from me or wait till I wasn't there. So I never once saw my parents argue, never once saw them fight. When the family would have a get-together, such as Christmas, maybe on Thanksgiving, it was a very big family because each of my brothers and sisters had children of their own. The children that they had were my age, close to it. So the family would sit at one table, and I, with my nieces, nephews, and cousins when they were there, would sit at the table with them. So I never really associated with the family. There could have been some kind of jealousy, too, because what Jerry wanted, Jerry got. Jerry was spoiled. I was a ham operator at 14, and I needed radios. Mom and Dad would struggle to buy me radios, one right after the other. Well, this comes to another story. My brothers and sisters went together on a lottery thing, and they bought tickets at a number of lotteries in different states. Well, one year they won the Oregon lottery. I wasn't involved in this. And there was a TV show and they spun a wheel, and I can't remember how much they made, but it was considerable amount of money. But they did invite me to the TV show, which wasn't too hard because my radio studio was almost next door to the TV station in Portland. So I went to see the TV program, and when it was all over, they went off to dinner, and they invited young Jer to go to the dinner. So when the dinner had concluded, I turned to my sister Charlotte. We really were never close. And I said, Charlotte, because she was the ringleader of the family, I said, Charlotte, I should like to be part of this thing. All you guys are buying these tickets. I could do that too. I could become a part of it. And Charlotte looked at me and she said, oh, Jerry, this is something we put together to keep the family together after Mom and Dad died, and we're not taking any new members. Yeah, I guess I really wasn't considered a part of the family. So that combined with some other mysterious things. My mother was a person who, as far as I knew, never lied. Mother didn't discuss with me anything. I'd asked her once when I was about 14, how do they have babies? And Mom said they had to do with birds and the bees. I knew that stork thing wasn't right because in all my years, 14 years on the planet, I had never seen a stork carrying a baby. I think I would have seen that. I thought it had something to do with sticking something in the ear. That's what I thought, and that's why they slept together, no doubt. But when I was in college or high school, I don't know which it was, out on the patio at school, I heard how they had babies, so I came straight home to Mom. I looked her right in the eye and I said, Mother, I know how they have babies. Mother looked horrified like I'd sucked her in the nose. And she says, oh, and how is that? So I explained to her, step by step, exactly how babies came to be. I said, Mom, did you and Dad do that? She looked me right in the eye, shook her head, and said, no. So I grew up thinking I was part of an immaculate conception and obviously was bound for the priesthood because I could find no other explanation for how a person could function being born as Christ himself was born. These things may have led to why they didn't particularly want me to know about my sister, not sister, what is it? She would have been my aunt. Yeah, my aunt, Pauline. I'll tell you what I found out from talking with Helen. Dad did go to live with the Butlers for a very brief time. And Pauline was treated as a member of the family. Everything was peachy keen for Pauline. Dad was treated as a worker on the farm, or whatever it was. Dad put up with this for a very short time, and then he ran away. And that's where he ran into this man named Dad Lau. So it's close, but no banana, all the stories. And I find with Pauline, whatever happened to Pauline, it had to do with airplanes, Mexico, and flights in between. Pauline took a very different path. and that is what Dad was concerned about. And it was a path that they really didn't want to share with one Jer. It would have to become a feature-length film to get all this story out, but I'm going to try to put it all together step by step as I think about it with my senile and old mind, if you will excuse me.